Coming up on News Live at 6, the Syracuse Winter Fair provides opportunities for local performers. How one entertainer is making his mark.
Plus, protesters across the country made their way to state capitals and city halls to speak out against the president and what they said here downtown.
And nicotine use has skyrocketed across college campuses throughout the country. New vape flavors and easy accessibility are the reasons why. How health officials are responding. News Live at 6 starts right now.
This is CitrusTV News Live at 6, your campus news leader.
Protests have erupted at state and city buildings across the country. Welcome to News Live at 6. I'm Peter Elliott.
And I'm Welch. The organizers gathered today to protest President Trump enacting his Assume Project 2025. Our Abby Tolchin was downtown with the details.
A movement to oppose the early actions of President Donald Trump's administration is taking off online with plans to protest across the U.S. today. The movement has organized under the hashtags #BuildTheResistance and #50501, which stands for 50 protests, 50 states, 1 day. Many of these protests were planned to happen in state capitals, but for those who couldn't make it, other cities like Syracuse have planned protests themselves. Here in front of the James M. Hanley Courthouse and Federal Building is Syracuse's protests. Trump has signed a series of executive orders in the first couple weeks of his new term on everything from trade and immigration to climate change. On Sunday, thousands of people marched against Trump's plan for large-scale deportations in Southern California, including in downtown Los Angeles, where protests shut down a major freeway for hours. This is Abby Tolchin reporting for CitrusTV News.
Abby, thanks for your coverage. Social Workers United at Falk College have selected the nonprofit We Rise Above the Streets for its annual donation drive now through March 10th. Donations will go to those experiencing homelessness and food insecurity in the local community. The organization is asking for food, hygiene products, and winter essentials. All items can be dropped off in the Social Work Suite 244 in the School of Sport.
Well, let's take a live look at the traffic right now on I-81. Pretty steady right now. As we are around rush hour traffic here. Some of those cars you'll see heading north on the right side of your screen could be headed towards the Dome for the big, they're getting ready, could be tailgating right now for the Syracuse men's basketball game against Duke coming up at 7. Well, conditions could look a little bit different tomorrow as the National Weather Service has announced a winter weather advisory to take effect from 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. Up to 3 inches of rain and snow are currently expected. Still, experts are telling people to be cautious while driving as those slick conditions could impact roads around the city. Right now, obviously, it is chilly right now as fans make their way towards the Dome for this big kickoff. They're going to want to get into the Dome as quickly as they can.
I know, I'm counting my blessings today with the winter weather advisor tomorrow. I'm getting a little bit scared.
Yeah, I know. Better to have it tomorrow, I guess, than today
so
ahead of this game. Chloe Breeze, could you tell us what the weather looks like outside as fans make their way to the Loud House?
Yeah, guys, it is cold out there as people are starting to walk to the games. It is currently 18 degrees now. Luckily, we don't have high winds. We're only about 2-mile-per-hour winds right now. So, I mean, still definitely good to bundle up, but luckily we won't have that wind chill that's going to make it feel much colder. But I can say that into the night, when fans start leaving the game, it's going to be about 14 degrees. And it's going to be cloudy, but the main thing is it's going to feel like 7 degrees. Now, this is bad. I get cold really easily. You're going to have to put your jackets, hats, gloves, everything. Even if try and bring as much as you can into the game because it is going to be a cold walk back to the cars afterwards. And we're seeing that across the region here. We're seeing in the low 20s and the high teens, with 16 in Cortland, 15 in Rome, and 17 in Fulton. And then we have highs of 21 in Binghamton, Ithaca, and Elmira. So across the region, we're just seeing those cold temperatures. So try and stay warm tonight if you can for the game. Go Cuse.
Chloe, thank you. With all this cold weather, Syracuse locals are definitely looking for some indoor fun. The winter provided just that this weekend, as well as a business for a local performer in the off-season. Grace Elford tells us his story.
I'm here at the Syracuse Winter Fair where they're bringing summer fun indoors. For one performer, this fair presents a unique opportunity.
The Winter Fair brings summer traditions to the winter season.
A lot of the aspects that you get at fairs and festivals, such as the rides, the food, vendors, music, We're trying to give people a chance to get out of the doldrums of winter.
The fair, along with traditional rides, food, games, and vendors, brings opportunities to performers in an otherwise slow time of year. Joshua J. Superstar is one of those performers. Along with the New York State Fair in the summer, he returns to the fairgrounds in wintertime to bring his stunts, tricks, and comedy.
I had a lot of free time as a kid. And actually, I wasn't much of a performer. I was a very quiet kid, so I spent a lot of time just by myself, obsessing over juggling. This is a very slow time of year for a lot of people. Get cooped up for January after the holidays. So for this kind of work, it's great.
Joshua's show relies on audience participation and volunteers of all ages. He interacts with audience members one-on-one, bringing smiles to their faces. The fair allows performers like Joshua to engage with the Syracuse community beyond the annual state fair in August.
I love when I can really see the people as opposed to like a big stage and connect with like a fun community.
Joshua J. Superstar! And thank you, everybody.
For CitrusTV News, I'm Grace Elford.
Looks like a lot of fun, Grace, thank you. A Salt City brand is looking to heat up the game in energy savings with innovative machinery. TK Fabricates is introducing European tech called the Hydropod, which seeks to save energy by providing heating, cooling, air filtration, and hot water all in one unit. Eight of the devices have been installed at student apartments buildings right here at SU on South Campus.
More trouble for the Syracuse Academy of Science. The school has been issued more code violations by the city fire department for allegedly tampering with its smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. First responders were alerted to a gas leak and upon investigation in the cafeteria found an alarm that was removed and damaged. School officials blamed burnt food. The incident comes a month after a janitor was found dead in the same cafeteria due to carbon monoxide poisoning.
The death of an inmate who was beaten by New York State prison guards has been ruled a homicide. Robert Brooks was serving a 12-year prison sentence for first-degree assault since 2017, but 2 months ago, body cam footage showed multiple officers at the Marcy Correctional Facility punching and kicking the 43-year-old. He died 6 hours later. An autopsy report found asphyxia from compression on his neck as the cause of death. Brooks also had a broken nose and was bleeding from his genitalia. Onondaga County DA William Fitzpatrick is leading the investigation.
Amanda Camillus was hit by a car early this morning. A man in his 50s sustained a broken pelvis and internal injuries. He is currently at Upstate University Hospital in stable condition. A spokesperson for the Camillus Police Department says he was crossing the street with his bike near the intersection of Onondaga Road and West Genesee Street when a driver hit him. The driver cooperated with police, and there was no indication that they were speeding or intoxicated. The driver has not been arrested or issued any tickets.
SU's campus is one of many colleges impacted by the electronic vaping epidemic. Dylan Augustine joins us in the studio to tell us how it's impacting student health and livelihood on campus.
Thanks, guys. Nicotine is everywhere, whether it's in cigarettes, vapes, pouches, you name it. But how is nicotine impacting students around our campus, and what can you do to ease your way off it? Nicotine is an addictive substance traditionally found in tobacco products, like cigarettes, but now in forms like vapes, pouches such as Zins, and the chemical is known for release of dopamine, giving people a good feeling that starts a craving. Well, why is this an issue? According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, from 2018 and on, nicotine use has skyrocketed on campuses, and the environment of peer pressure doesn't help.
It's like, oh, I'm not gonna smoke today. If my friends are all like smoking, more than likely I'll probably be like, yeah, pass me that thing.
While peer pressure plays a major role in smoking, so does accessibility. As right on Marshall Street, 2 stores openly sell nicotine products to students.
It's very accepted. I think many people do it. I think that it's very easily accessible.
The issue of nicotine addiction itself has many layers from products to accessibility. Officials believe a change in education is a way to counteract.
Having more education around it, having a normal conversation rather than it just be, a quick 15-second advertisement. It should be something that, is further developed, it's further educated on.
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction to nicotine, it is advised to speak to a doctor for treatment or medication. Dylan Augustine, CitrusTV News.
All right, Dylan, thank you so much for your coverage. Well, new data reveals the toll of being a first responder on your mental health in New York State. A new study shows that nearly 70% of first responders say they face stress-related mental health challenges. 3/4 of those surveyed also say they don't have access to mental health care at their workplace. Governor Kathy Hochul held a press conference today unveiling those statistics and said that her office is already working on a number of initiatives to address them, including the creation of a first responder counseling scholarship program and counteracting staff shortages by reducing what she called outdated barriers in recruitment.
Well, Governor Hochul also announced today the launch of a new interactive web page to help track the New York State's goal to plant 25 million trees by 2033. The tree tracker allows state agencies, organizations, and individuals to report the location and number of trees planted to measure the statewide effort. The initiative is advancing goals outlined in New York's Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act to reduce the pollution contributing to climate change.
As President Trump's cabinet takes shape, replacements for his picks from Congress are already starting. The special election for New York's 21st district isn't yet official, as Representative Elise Stefanik still needs to be confirmed by the Senate to become the U.S.'s ambassador to the United Nations. But upstate Democrats have nominated Blake Gendabine, a St. Lawrence dairy farmer, to run for that seat. The longtime North Country resident is the vice chairman of a dairy cooperative that stretches across New York and New England.
The New York State Head Start program is missing payments, facing delays, and experiencing some technical issues. The fund ensures adequate access to education, healthcare, and housing for low-income Americans since its formation 60 years ago. New York State Senator Chuck Schumer says these delays started when Donald Trump ordered to freeze federal funding programs. The order has been temporarily blocked by a federal judge, but Schumer is continuing to call on the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to fix the payment systems.
When we return here on News Live at 6, President Donald Trump continues to lay off government agency workers. The effect these firings are having ahead.
And his executive order to eliminate DEI programs is impacting the U.S. Military Academy. Those stories and more when we return on your Campus News Leader.
Welcome to Live from Studio B.
Welcome to another episode of Culturally and Technically Legal.
Previously on Survivor.
Welcome back to the Esports Juice Box, where we break down this week's esports news into digestible sizes for easy consumption.
We're gonna go out there in the rain. Gonna get wet. All right, here we go. Okay, quick. Oh yeah, yes. So much fun. Mwah. So wet.
You're watching Citrus TV News, live at 6 with Peter Elliot, Luke Welch, and Chloe Breeze. And now, your campus news leader continues.
Welcome back to News Live at 6. Another executive order from President Trump is dismantling the U.S. Agency for International Development. The branch has worked to fight disease, hunger, and improve education access across the world for 6 decades, all in the hopes of improving global security.
The Trump administration sent emails along with a notice on the agency's website telling workers that, quote, today all USAID direct hire personnel will be placed on administrative leave globally, with the exception of designated personnel responsible for mission-critical functions, core leadership, and specially designated programs. Essential personnel expected to continue working will be informed by agency leadership by tomorrow at 3 p.m. Well, President Donald Trump also signed another executive order just a few hours ago, banning transgender women from participating in female sports. The Keeping Men Out of Women's Sports order targets organizations that receive Title IX funding and requires them to define someone's sex as a gender they were assigned at birth.
This is the fourth executive order that the president has signed relating to transgender rights. NCAA President Charlie Baker said in a congressional hearing back in December that of the roughly 510,000 athletes, he was aware of less than 10 transgender male and female competitors. Well, President Trump's executive order to end birthright citizenship has been blocked by a second federal judge. Yesterday, U.S. District Judge Deborah Boardman issued a preliminary injunction in the state of Maryland.
The stop applies nationwide and is in effect while a lawsuit against the executive order is being adjudicated. It's estimated that if birthright citizenship is revoked, more than 150,000 people could be impacted. The United States Military Academy at West Point announces it's disbanding dozens of cadet clubs relating to diversity, equity, and inclusion. This comes after President Trump signed executive orders eliminating DEI programs from the government and U.S. military in January.
Organizations like the Latin Heritage Club and Women Engineers Club will be shut down at the Academy. Campus leadership is currently reviewing several other clubs to determine whether they'll be disbanded as well. And President Trump is offering deferred resignation letters to the national security and CIA workers. The layoffs are expected to begin across the two agencies this Thursday.
A lot shaking up as an administration. This continues the president's efforts to downsize the federal government and reduce spending. The letters come days after plaques honoring female and minority federal agents were covered up at the National Cryptologic Museum.
And coming up on News Live at 6, I'll have your 5-day weather forecast. Stick with us.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Nokia rocking through the night in Syracuse where the music never ends. I'm bringing you the sound, the glory, and the trance. From classic hits to the brand new sound. OT is the heartbeat of the underground. With every riff and every scream, we're turning your living room into a rocking dream. You're watching OTN, let the thunder roll. Hard rocking rhythms that will shake your soul. On the stage to your screen, we bring the fire. OTN television takes you higher. Guitars are shredding, the crowd's going wild. Syracuse vibes with a rebellious style. Locals are legends, they all take a stand in the world of rock.
Welcome back to News Live at 6. Disney's first quarter earnings beat expectations after its streaming service Disney Plus experienced a net loss of roughly 700,000 subscribers. Disney told its investors it expects another modest decline in subscribers during the second quarter. Analysts say subscribers are canceling due to price hikes and the cancellation of promotional offers.
Yeah, that bundle with Hulu and ESPN Plus. The slowdown in streaming growth follows an increase in prices for its services last year. The streaming platform's average monthly revenue per subscriber increased nearly 5% over the past year. And you know, honestly, I'm not surprised here. I feel like we've been talking about this before on Wet News,
yes,
that the streaming services seem to be taking consumers by storm, but it's interesting.
People can only pay for so many streaming services, and when you're paying so much and they keep hiking prices, I think consumers are reevaluating what they want to watch, and I think it makes sense when they're cutting the cord.
I got to admit, I'm a streamer of that Hulu, ESPN Plus, and Disney Plus bundle, and I say I really appreciate it. But you know who else I appreciate is our weather anchor, Chloe Breeze, who's here to tell us a little bit more about this week's forecast. Hey, Chloe.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, let's take a look at your 5-day weather forecast. So going into tomorrow, there's going to be some snow showers in the morning with a high of 25 and a low of 21. And then Friday, we're going to be staying in that cloudy wind chill with a high of 28. But then Saturday, we're finally going to get to see some sun, but it's going to be mostly cloudy, high of 31, low of 25. And then, of course, Sunday, we're going to have some more snow in the morning with a high of 31. And then Monday, again, we'll start to see that sun peek through the clouds with a high of 28 and a low of 19. So while we still We'll be seeing some sun throughout the week. Temperatures are going to be remaining cold throughout the week, so definitely bundle up as best you can. So here's a picture I took today on my walk to class. This was right in front of the Hall of Languages, right by the Sheridan, and as you can see, that gorgeous, gorgeous sun is peeking through. We're finally getting some vitamin D here in Syracuse, which you know in the month of January is hard to come by, but that snow on the ground, as you can see, starting to melt a little bit. That ice is still sticking on the ground. I've been slipping today, so thankfully haven't fully wiped out, but there are going to be some slips as this ice melts. But like I said, with more snow coming in tomorrow morning, it's going to be a little more icy out there, so be careful walking to class. But I'll send it back to you guys at the desk.
Guys, tonight's the night. Syracuse and Duke fans are starting to file in. I'll have a full preview on the other side.
Hi, my name is Sadie Miller.
My name is Luke Brady. I go by St. Luke.
So this one I started with this guitar lick.
And now, your Citrus TV Sports Report.
Syracuse and Duke, a matchup that was once a staple on the college basketball slate, although in recent years it's dipped off. Welcome to sports. I'm AJ Myers. Tonight, that rivalry, if you want to spin it that way, gets renewed. Why is it not the hottest item in town anymore? Well, the Blue Devils, they've held up their end of the bargain. They're the second best team in the country, but on the orange side, SU is 2 games under 500 and in the bottom half of the ACC. Yet Duke should still bring in a packed dome crowd. You see behind me, not too many fans there yet. It's because of their freshman phenom, Cooper Flagg. Get a look of these stats that he has put up this year. I mean, that is great stuff for just a freshman. It is highly expected that the forward is going to be selected #1 overall in the upcoming NBA draft. What can the Orange do to stop Flagg? Well, this is what Syracuse assistant coach Alan Griffin said this morning on handling the freshman.
I just think that, when teams do a good job on him, I think it's a team effort, and I think, that's what our plan is. It's a team effort. Like, we just can't just leave our one guy on an island and let him just try to guard Cooper the whole game. I just think that that's a recipe for disaster.
Flagg has tallied over 20 points in his last 4 games. A name that should sound more familiar to Syracuse fans is Malik Brown. The forward spent 2 years with the Orange before transferring. This season, Brown's missed a chunk of time with injuries. That's why his numbers are down, but he just came back from injury Saturday, and Blue Devils head coach John Shire had high praise for Brown in his return.
He's a very smart basketball player. I want to continue to get him to shoot the ball and be more aggressive offensively, but he just impacts us on both ends because of his feel And obviously, I think his versatility on defense speaks for itself.
Brown forced 2 steals in Duke's 17-point thrashing of North Carolina Saturday. Now the question is, can Syracuse pull off the biggest upset of the season? Remember back to last year, Adrian Autry's group knocked off number 7 UNC at home. Tonight, the Orange are 17.5-point underdogs. Tip-off from the Dome is at 7. Switching over to Syracuse lacrosse, the women's campaign gets underway Saturday against UAlbany. Yesterday, 4 players were named to the All-ACC preseason list. Of note, Olivia Adamson, she led the team in assists last year, and Emma Ward, she led the team in goals. So those 2 players are going to need to be key assets for Syracuse if they want to make it another trip to the national semifinals this year.
AJ, thank you. Let's go back to this game here. Syracuse is 0-9 in this contest since 2019. What's the key for the Orange to even just keep this game competitive?
Peter, I think it's all about a fast start. Remember back to that Stanford game? I think you were there. They started off 22-0. That is unacceptable for Adrian Autry's group. You got to show Duke that you can hang with them. If it's like a 9-point deficit at halftime, I think that's a win for the Orange going into the second half.
I think keeping it close would be a win, honestly, for the Orange. We've been to too many of these Syracuse-Duke games at the Dome. Fans camp out for hours ahead of time.
Keep those fans in the seats.
That's right. You want to keep them in the seats, not make it a blowout by the second media timeout.
Exactly.
AJ, thank you so much. We're looking forward to that game coming up at the top of the hour. Well, still ahead, we've got one last look at your forecast. Stick around through the break.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Welcome back into News Live at 6. Taking a look at your wake-up weather tomorrow. It's going to be about 26 degrees in the morning. Like I said, we're going to be getting some of those AM snow showers. So this picture is kind of what it's going to look like tomorrow morning on your walk to class. And we're going to be seeing that snow continue throughout the day until noon. It's going to go up to 31 degrees, still with those snow showers. And then finally at 6 p.m. with a high of 39 and no snow. Snow is expected to end around 1 p.m. tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to a little break with that.
Chloe Reese, thank you so much for joining us here at the desk.
Well, today is National Women and Girls in Sports Day.
And to honor the 38th annual celebration, we picked our favorite female athletes. And I know mine is not only my favorite female athlete, but my favorite athlete in general. And that is tennis player Coco Gauff. We can get a look here on your screen. There she is. That's actually a photo I took when I went and watched her play live in the City Open. She's my idol. I haven't missed a match in the last 4 years, and she's a huge icon for women and black athletes across the country. So what about you, Peter?
She is an absolute star. Well, it's good we got the rights to that photo as well. Thank you. Mine is one we know well here on this campus, De'Asia Fair, who was a star here on the Hill, one of the all-time leading scorers in the NCAA women's game. She was just so fun to watch. She kept the Orange in so many of those games last year, led them on that tournament run. I will never forget watching De'Asia Fair play in Orange.
Yeah, big miss for Syracuse this season. I went the soccer route. I went Carly Lloyd, a local aspect not too far away from where I grew up. And also I remember watching that World Cup game where she scored that hat trick and U.S. beat. I forget who it was, but they won like 5-2 in Canada. So that was a memorable one. So I went with Carly Lloyd.
Yeah, I went the gymnastics route with Simone Biles. I just really admired all she's done over the last 8 years a part of the team.
Yeah, Chloe,
that
thanks
is
so
the gold.
much.
Well, that does it for News Live at 6 for this Wednesday. We've got a big men's basketball game coming up. The Orange got to win this one. That does it for all of us here. I'm Peter Elliott.
I'm Luke Welch.
Go Orange. Come on. Let's go Orange.